Why do some believe that Clara Harris was haunted by Lincoln's ghost? The story is one of deep sorrow, unending grief, and a descent into madness that would forever mark the lives of those involved. Prepare for a tale of sorrow and madness, a tale that begins on a night meant for joy and entertainment but ends in blood and despair. Clara Harris was at Ford's Theatre on that fateful night, April 14, 1865, a night that was supposed to be a simple evening of entertainment. She was there to watch a play, to enjoy a night out in the company of her fiancé. Her fiancé, Major Henry Rathbone, was a distinguished military officer, a man of honor and duty. They were a couple full of promise and hope for the future. But that night, history took a dark turn. When John Wilkes Booth shot President Lincoln, Rathbone, in a brave but futile attempt to stop the assassin, was brutally stabbed. The theater erupted into chaos, a scene of horror and confusion. The blood-soaked night marked the beginning of their descent into darkness. The trauma of that night would haunt them for the rest of their lives, a shadow that they could never escape. Married to Rathbone years later, Clara kept the dress she wore that night, stained with Lincoln's blood. It was a macabre keepsake, a constant reminder of the horror they had witnessed. She believed it had the power to summon the late president's ghost. The dress became a symbol of her unending grief and the haunting memories that plagued her. The haunting memories of that night never left them. They were trapped in a cycle of sorrow and madness, unable to move past the trauma. Rathbone, consumed by guilt and paranoia, began hearing voices. The voices whispered to him, accusing him of failing to protect the president, of being responsible for Lincoln's death. They whispered that he was to blame for Lincoln's death. The guilt and paranoia gnawed at his sanity, driving him to the brink of madness. The torment drove him to the brink of madness. He became increasingly unstable, his mind unraveling under the weight of his guilt and the haunting memories of that night. On Christmas Eve, 1883, the horror resurfaced. The festive season, meant to be a time of joy and celebration, turned into a night of terror. In a twisted recreation of Lincoln's assassination, Rathbone attacked Clara, stabbing her to death. The scene was a horrific echo of that fateful night at Ford's Theatre. He then turned the knife on himself, severely injuring his own body. The madness that had consumed him finally erupted in a violent and tragic act. In his frenzy, he even tried to harm their children before being restrained. The night ended in blood and tears, a family torn apart by madness and violence. Rathbone was committed to an asylum where he spent the remainder of his tormented life. The once honorable officer was now a broken man, lost in his own mind. Clara Harris became another casualty of that night at Ford's Theatre, a tragic footnote in the annals of history. Her life, once full of promise, ended in tragedy and sorrow. The echoes of Lincoln's assassination didn't end with his death. They reverberated through the lives of those who were there, leaving a trail of sorrow and despair that would last for generations. They reverberated through the lives of those who were there, leaving a trail of sorrow and despair. The night of Lincoln's assassination was a turning point, a moment that changed the course of history and left a lasting impact on all who witnessed it. A haunting reminder that some tragedies never truly end. The story of Clara Harris and Henry Rathbone is a testament to the enduring impact of that night, a reminder that the echoes of tragedy can reverberate through time, leaving a lasting mark on the lives of those who are touched by it.